Donald Jeffries. Author of Hidden History and Survival of the Richest. Host of The Donald Jeffries Show. Billy Ray Valentine. Host of the Infinite Fringe podcast. Researcher, truth seeker from the Bronx, New York. Tony Arterburn. Radio host, combat veteran, precious metals analyst, and alt historian. Together, they take on the headlines of the week, decode the disinformation, and plow through the mainstream propaganda. Unauthorized, unscripted, and unintimidated. This is America Unplugged.
All right, what's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well. The War on Reality report and, the anti-war report, because that doesn't even exist anymore if you look. But here we go. There is some resistance to this at the very least. I got lit up with text messages at like 1:45, 2 in the morning. And typically that doesn't happen. Woke me up and I went to see the television. And of course, the United States had attacked Iran along with Israel. First it was Israel. Then they said, hey, the United States was involved too. And then I got to see the Orange Monster talk at about, 2:30 in the morning, gave a speech. I don't know if it was live or if it was pre-recorded. It probably was pre-recorded. But giving his reasons why he openly called for the people of Iran to overthrow the government. Openly called for that yesterday. And then he had the audacity to say, hey, some of our people are going to die. It's going to happen. It's like, screw you, brother. Like, we didn't ask for this. Nobody wants this. Well, I can't say anybody, but, in generalities here, that most people don't want this. Even MAGAs, right? Some of the hardcores are going to look for a way to justify this because they have to deal with their own problems. But the majority of the people, MAGA or not, do not want this, right? This Thomas Massey tweeted out, and I retweeted it or X'd it or posted it, whatever, that this is not America first. And it's not America first, but none of this is, and it hasn't been for quite some time. Some pipe dream was sold to the people that thought that this was going to change. And here we are. So we're getting closer and closer to World War III. I know we're talking about that quite often last year and this year. It's a reality. I hope it doesn't happen. I don't think it'll happen, but at some point, it looks like this is going to pop off, right? At some point, I mean, this looks like a powder keg. A bunch of countries are involved at this point as it is, so let's see what's up. Tony Arterburn, the wisest of all the wolves, is here. Don Jeffries, the legendary, and all the people in the chat. How are you? What's going on? Also, if you live in major cities, right, this is eventually going to touch American soil. One way or another, it's going to happen, right? They may not have the capabilities to shoot missiles over here. They may, but they may not, right? Odds are they don't. They'll find another way, right? And I don't think it's going to be a false flag. I think it's going to be something legit that goes down in New York, in Chicago, in Los Angeles. Something's going to pop off. This is going to directly affect us here in the homeland. And we are spoiled as Americans because we don't got to deal with this crap. I was thinking about Tel Aviv, sirens going off over and over again. I'm like, man, how do they live like that? Afghanistan is in rubble, right? Somalia, these places, and Iran, constantly being bombed for a nuclear program that was obliterated a few months ago, according to these people. And now they were able to magically build it back. Maybe they got those Chinese engineers that built a hospital in 2 weeks during COVID. Maybe that's what happened, and they brought them over to Iran and boom, they got their nuclear program back. Of course, that's a load of crap, right? But these are the mental gymnastics we have to make to try to justify what's going on here today. Tony Arterburn, what's going on?
Well, if you think Kash Patel was celebrating the hockey team, what do you think he's doing now? No, if you support this, fuck you. I really can't take this. I look at the headlines, the most unnecessary war in American history. I think liver cancer has a higher polling rating in the United States than this war. Right. No, I just off the top of my head, I can't stand it, Billy. It's
Of course.
intellectually bankrupt. We're the cascading consequences of this strike, and you're calling for regime change. What if you don't like the new regime?
Right.
What if it's worse? We've already done this. I mean, Operation Ajax in the early 1950s overthrew Mossadegh, and we installed the Shah of Iran. And so we've had intervention since the early 50s with Iran. It's a vital part of that region. Of course, the ties to the former Soviet Union and Russia, its energy reserves. I mean, we had the Tehran conference there with Stalin and FDR and Churchill during World War II is a vital part of the Soviet empire and their sphere of influence. So this is something, a game we've been playing for a long time, but clearly we're doing this on behalf of Israel. Yeah. And you're going to see all the commentators, the teleprompter readers, these dead-souled automatons for Satan are going to come out and support this thing. And I just want, right off the bat, I will never support this. This is, you're right about, what do you think the border's been open for? What do you think we've been doing? An excuse for whatever intel operations to flood people into the West to do retaliatory sleeper cell stuff. I mean, that's, and it could be coordinated on purpose. We'll never know, but this is when they unleash the chaos. Think of all the stuff that's going on in this country that we need help with, the jobs market, the currency debasement, the economic uncertainty, the infrastructure is shit. And we're launching wars of choice. This is how empires die. So no, I just find it disgusting.
It's absolutely disgusting. 100% disgusting. It's incredible, and man, the people, I don't know, maybe this is wishful thinking, but I refuse to think that normal people would act in this way. I refuse to think that we want to fight each other to this level. A school got bombed. 51 kids died, mostly girls in Iran.
Well, at least the neocons
brother.
Won't need their ED treatment. This makes them hard. This, I don't know if you knew that.
Man, it's a different.
They got their eyes wide shut parties. Hey, you know who wasn't in the Epstein files? Iran. Just saying. Where's the Ayatollah in the Epstein files? Oh no, it's just Lutnick and Trump, and
Dalai Lama.
all your heroes out there, folks. Right. This is one of the biggest hoodwinks and psyops in the history of mankind. We're watching.
I don't know. I'm sorry, Tony. Finish up.
No, I'm done.
I don't know, given the scope of psychological operations that have been run on the people throughout the history of this, of psychological operations, but this seems like, at least to me, the biggest psychological operation ever run on humankind. That we are at this point in time doing this right now with these buffoons in power. It's just like, what? How did we get here? And there's a lot of evidence to point in behavioral manipulation, cultural manipulation. And I don't want to just, provide a scapegoat for people. It's us too. They have to had something to manipulate, right? There must have been something in there to allow these people to be able to manipulate us in some fashion. But this is the greatest psychological operation ever run on mankind. And it's the real conspiracy, the true conspiracy that we should be researching and trying to get to the bottom of. They've openly said it with Ghost in the Machine, Tony. They've openly admitted to this.
Hey, I'm wearing my Ghost Army shirt.
Look at that. No coincidence there. Actually, total coincidence. But anyway, go ahead. Don Jeffries, the legendary. Give me your thoughts, brother.
Well, obviously, I agree with everything Tony said, and as you might surmise. But what differentiates this here is, you go back to 1898, you go back to Civil War with Fort Sumter. There's always some triggering event, a false flag for all these. There was no triggering event here. They didn't even bother with anything. They just said, no, we're going to bomb them. And it's so obvious, like Tony said, you might as well have Trump on a leash and have Netanyahu leading him around. And this is so obviously we can't even pretend it's in our interest. Iran has never done anything to us. They can say all they want about the nonsense about the state sponsor of terrorism. They define that. That's like defining anti-Semitism. It means nothing. And I do worry a bit, as Tony said, because of all the people they've been letting in. I don't think they were letting real terrorists in, because I don't know how many real terrorists really exist. I think these are all created and they work for the elitists. But they may have let some of those kind in, and they may be hiring them, and they may indeed do something to say maybe it would be a belated false flag, because they can see. I don't know what kind of public support this has, but I think most of the polls online were showing maybe 20% of the public or so was agreed that we should go for a war with Iran, because there's no precipitating event. They can't claim there's a Pearl Harbor. They can't claim there's the sinking the Maine and the Lusitania, not even a Gulf of Tonkin or weapons of mass destruction. Nothing here. We go back to 2002. Bibi Netanyahu publicly said that, there's 7 countries where we need to have regime change. One of them was Iran. Now, I think we've already changed regimes in 5 of them or whatever. So we're clearly following their lead. They're in charge. Whether Trump is holding Bibi Netanyahu's chair for him anymore, I don't know, but he might as well be. This is really sickening. As Tony said, you have to be a fucking idiot if you support this. I don't know who supports it, but I know there will be some that will try to claim this, but you can say the same thing for Venezuela. Trump has now done 2 foreign escapades where I don't see how anybody could support him against people that have done nothing to us, Venezuela or Iran. But Iran has been number 1 on Israel's hit list for a long time. And the only reason I think they hesitated is because they know Iran will fight back more than all these other countries. They have more of a military, and you can see already they bombed 5 countries or something to retaliate. Again, we're listening to what they're saying. I don't know that I believe anything they say, but and Peter Sikosh is in the chat, and he posted on Facebook about that school they hit with 50. I think they killed 50 girls in a girls' school or something. It's but that doesn't. It's the same thing when you talk about what they've done in Gaza. How many kids have died? They always say, "Well, was it?" You saw it when Tucker Carlson was interviewing Huckabee. Huckabee was saying, "Well, that kid was wearing a uniform, was holding the guns." I doubt any of the girls in that school were wearing uniform. Well, they might have been wearing school uniforms. They weren't holding guns. But that's the level of depravity you get down to, where you're thinking, well, we killed a would-be terrorist. They might have grown up to be terrorists. This is awful stuff. I don't know how anybody can defend it. But as I said, that Trump has crossed the neocon Rubicon here, where he can't go back now. He can't go back to where he can never go back to the rhetoric. He has completely dropped all the stuff he said about the senseless wars. And, if you go back to when he lashed out at Jeb Bush in that debate and just dressed him down about how stupid the weapons of mass destruction was and how stupid it was to go to war there, that was great. That's what won a lot of people over with us. He can't go back to that guy now, because it's dumber than that. At least in Iraq, you had a fake weapons of mass destruction. I mean, there's certainly no reason for that. You don't even have that here. There's absolutely no reason for this at all. They can't justify it. We'll see what happens. I still, like you, Billy Ray, I'm still holding on. I don't think there's going to be World War III, because I don't think they can pull it off, because they can't. There's no dirty, sneaky, rotten Japs. There's no Krauts. There's nothing. Who are they going to demonize it? They don't even have a leader. I mean, they have an Ayatollah, but I don't even, we don't know anything about him. He's not Ahmadinejad. Maybe if he was still there, possibly. They don't have anybody to demonize. So the public is looking, well, I don't know why, what is Iran? What have they done to us? It's Jackson D. Barrett. 50 girls were in school on a Saturday morning. Okay, well, I don't know. I'm telling you, so maybe they made it up. I don't know. But again, I haven't posted anything that we're told, but we do know that they don't hesitate to kill civilians, and that would be certainly Israel never has, but we haven't either. But this is a very dark day. Let's hope it just. The last time he bombed Iran, last summer, we thought it was going to start then. and everything just kind of quieted down. But now it's interesting that you have the Epstein files. This kind of, because we're seeing more and more incredible stuff in those Epstein files. It's just more and more obvious every day. But people are saying it openly. Massey and lots of people are saying this is obviously a distraction from that. I don't think that I'm maintaining some hope. I got some Frank Capra hope here. I just don't think they can pull it off in this day and age. Just like I don't think they can try to go back to the moon. I don't think they can pull it off now because people are watching for it. I don't know that they can give a war at this time because I don't think they're good enough at what they do. It's pretty obvious they're crappy conspirators. But they have power. So let's hope. Let's all pray for peace, but let's hope more people want peace than not. And maybe for once in American history, more people actually want peace.
All right. No, I think you're absolutely right. That's what it is. These people are buffoons. They're completely incompetent, but they have power. So when you have power, you can push stuff through. And people equate, that with intelligence for some reason. So it's like these people are intelligent people, and it's just not the case in my opinion. Let me play something for you guys. Brissom sent me this morning. Who put that up? Operation Epstein Fury. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, man. I subscribe to that. I think that's a part of it. But I also think, like Don said, that this is an agenda that's been going on for quite some time. Maybe they're kicking it into high gear because of what's going on now. I don't hold that belief, but that's a possibility that we need to explore. I think that they were going to do this regardless, right? And it was only a matter of time. Netanyahu wants it. This is the last opportunity they have to make this happen. Donald Trump as president, and he's screwing up royally, to the point that he's talking about taking executive action to take over elections at this point. That's happening. Okay, so anybody that called me crazy for saying that he was going to try to take over the elections, it's already happening. There's that. So this is the last chance for Netanyahu and people of that ilk to get what they want in that region, or their last chance for a long, long time. If things continue in America, people are more anti the Israeli government and what they're doing, and more pro-Palestinian and pro that side of things at this point. People are seeing it. The young people are exposed to a lot of different things, and they're not subscribing to what the older generation would have subscribed to. Things are changing for whatever reason. So this is it. And they're cornered. And when you get a cornered animal, they're going to lash out. They're going to be desperate. So it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better, in my opinion. These people are going to pull out all the stops to try to get what they want over there. But this is, Brissom sent me this morning of Mike Davis talking on Steve Bannon. Make sure I got it all queued up here so you guys can hear it. And you're going to start hearing this narrative, because this is part of the psychological operation. This is how they conduct the mental war, the information war. This is how they do it. Steve Miller has been doing this for quite some time. They're taking things, taking concepts, taking laws, and twisting them and bending them and making them work for them. So this is part of executive unitary theory. Pretty much what's going on here, but let me play this. I want to get you guys' takes on it, and then we'll play some of Trump's speech from last night, talking about Americans are going to die, and you should be cool with that because Iran and nuclear weapons, and also the people of Iran. You should rise up and overthrow your government. Mm-hmm. Let's go. What's going on here? It's not playing. The powers that be are stopping me from playing this clip. Hold on, let me try. What's going on here? All right, Tone. I'm throwing it to you until I can suss out the technical difficulties going on here. So,
okay, no problem.
Tell me something. Go ahead.
Well, this is from antiwar.com. It's a link to CNN, and they just put this up about an hour ago. This is CNN. Just to be clear, while they last, that's
another thing.
Exist. They're almost out.
Right.
Timing of U.S.-Israel attack on Iran bears symbolic meaning in Judaism.
Oof.
The time. This is again the CNN. I'm very glad they put this up. The timing of the U.S. and Israeli attack on Iran bears symbolic meaning in Judaism, ahead of the upcoming Jewish holiday of Purim. Worshippers read the specific portion from the Old Testament known as Zachor. The passage from the book of Deuteronomy commands the ancient Israelites to remember an unprovoked attack by the nation of Amalek and to eradicate the memory of Amalek once the Israelites are settled in their land. The passage is read publicly before Purim to fulfill mitzvah of remembering Amalek as Israel's archetypical enemy. That's how far we've fallen. The Zog is in full effect. And remember Superman? Was it Superman 2 when he had to? It was Zod, you know.
Zod, yeah.
Zod.
No.
It's actually Zog.
Man.
So that's the Zionist occupied government. And this is we're conducting foreign policy on behalf of the American Republic that's supposed to stand, and for a foreign nation. This has. No one with a 50 IQ plus can understand what we're doing here. No one. And to explain this to me, like what Iran does to threaten the security or the sovereignty of the United States of America, you have to be out of your mind. You're either a liar or you're mentally deficient, or you're evil, or maybe a combination of all three.
Yeah. Unfortunately, man, and I hate putting it in those terms, but it's one of those guys.
I mean, people are going to die when you make these choices. Again, who's attacking who?
Right.
I remember when right after shock and awe, I went into Iraq.
God bless.
And there have been over 10 years of sanctions at that point. Remember, Madeleine Albright said that 500,000 Iraqi women and children were worth it dying, to continue our sanctions, the oil for food program, all the stuff that we did. We did 40,000 sorties, 40,000 flyovers of Iraq during that 10 years. And Saddam Hussein couldn't shoot down one American aircraft. So you're telling, but he's the new Hitler at the time, remember? So we went in with shock and awe, and they were supposed to greet us as liberators and put, garland wreaths over us and welcome us in like we just toppled the bad guy that had suppressed them. But let me tell you what happened, and I'm pretty sure you already know, is that you got rid of one guy who was originally backed and helped by the CIA. You get rid of one monster, but you get 10,000. And I visited churches there that were around some of the oldest churches in Christendom that are in ashes and ruins now, historical sites, and in complete neighborhoods that are gone. And Christians that were rounded up because, intelligence backed these, and Israeli Mossad backed ISIS. Remember all the Toyota pickups with all those guys moving on, in and out of Syria with impunity? We were bombing the Syrian army so that they wouldn't be able to hurt Al-Qaeda. That was the purpose of our foreign policy in the Syrian war. We wanted to topple Assad on behalf of Israel. We wanted to topple Assad because the Syrian government proposed a threat to the Israeli government. That's why we were there. And we helped protect the supposed mortal enemy, the people that attacked us on 9/11. We were protecting them. Hillary Clinton said she would shoot down Russian aircraft that were trying to bomb Al-Qaeda in 2016 during the election. So that's where we are, folks. Just another example of the decline and fall of this great country. And this is hopefully future. If there is a future, historians, I hope, will cover this as an example of how you can be so misled. And it was pretty masterful how they've done it.
It's an example of just how of the de-evolution of mankind. No matter how intelligent, quote unquote, they tell us we are. If this is it, we got a lot of problems. If this is the way it goes, we got a lot of problems. Peter Seakosh in the chat. What's up, Peter? How you doing? says breaking. Trump is now posting on social media that Iran interfered in the 2020 and 2024 elections. And this is what he does. He's been lying about this from the beginning. It's becoming more and more evident to people that he was lying about it from the beginning because it's what he does, right? So he's also saying that Venezuela was involved in it, and there's always the theory that's going around that they're going to use Maduro to claim that they interfered in the 2020 election, since of course they've already alleged that a MAGA Trump, the Trump regime.
We are the casualties of a deranged man's ego trip.
And how would Nicolas Maduro have the power to do that?
And what's the difference between the Democrats with their ridiculous Russia, and claiming Russia was involved in the, I guess, the 2016 election, and now Venezuela and now Iran? I mean, that's what they're. It's a process. All are involved. The whole thing is rigged. And you don't need foreign governments doing it. What a joke! It's unbelievable. He's again. It's like saying the Epstein thing was a Democratic hoax. It contradicts everything he's ever said on the subject. He was saying the Democrats were behind the 2020 election. He didn't say anything about Iran or Venezuela. That's absolutely ridiculous. And I hope that he's lost almost all his support. I sense he has, but I know I'm going to see some. Well, Jackson T. Barrett in the chat room looks like he's kind of seeing the bright side here. I don't know. So you have one person in this chat room that is somehow seeing some upside here. I don't know how anybody. Well, I get the sense maybe he can defend himself in the chat room, but it seems to be he said something like, for fuck's sake, Iran was blocking the Sea of Hormuz or something like that. So there it is. Iran threatens Petro. Okay. Yeah. So Smartmatic, there he is again. Smartmatic software was developed in Venezuela. Okay, I don't think our enemies are, and this is what if anybody reads my stuff and listens to me, what I stress all the time is our enemies are in Washington, D.C. Yeah, they're above that. There's Illuminati or whatever, but our enemies are in Washington, D.C. They're not in Venezuela. They're not in Russia. They're certainly not in Iran. They're not in any other country. Israel's not even our enemy. They're just ruling us. We're allowing them to manipulate us, but the enemies are still in Washington, D.C. because it's Donald Trump and this administration that listened to them. They should have said, F off, Bibi, who the hell are you? We're going to cut off aid to you if you don't stop this pressure. That's what Charlie Trump was apparently doing before he was suddenly assassinated, but no involvement there. So, I mean, this is so opposite to America First movement. It's exactly right. This is like when Ronald Reagan developed that weapon, if you remember that, I'm sure Tony remembers that, and he called it the Peacekeeper. The bullet. I mean, and that's the ultimate of Orwellian logic. We've got a new bomb, and we're going to call it the Peacekeeper. And that's what they're doing here. By doing this, by going after Venezuela, going after Turkey. Trump earlier, a couple of days ago, was talking about maybe we'll go into Cuba again. They're bringing Cuba back now. Really? I mean, what does this fit into anything this guy ever said? He's like Teddy Roosevelt on steroids. And again, I don't think this is anything natural. I think it's part of the act, but I don't know. We'll see where it goes from here. But Karen says MAGA is dead as a doornail. That's absolutely they can't. I'd be surprised. I want to see anybody that tries to defend this. I don't know that anybody can. Maybe Jackson T. Barrett can get on Fox News because I don't think there's other people that are going to be defending this. This is as indefensible as Zionism itself. And once you get enough of the American people, what we have here, what I sense is we're already getting a Vietnam feeling, like you had the young people in Vietnam, but it's before anything begins. This is so stupid and so dubious that nobody buys it. And now that you've had so much thinking about Zionism and Israeli power in the news for the last couple of years, everybody sees what's behind this. This is way beyond anything we saw with any of the other false flags, because there hasn't been a false flag. But I don't know how they can sell this unless they just don't care, and they're just gonna, it looks like Trump doesn't care, because if he's making ridiculous comments about that, that Iran now. So I guess Iran and Venezuela are working together. I don't. I mean, it's so stupid. It insults people's intelligence, and I wish people would wake up. It's not that we could, but as Billy Ray pointed out, we've got 3 more years of this.
Yeah, man.
And who knows what it possibly do in that time.
So a couple of things, right? Like to hit on Venezuela real quick. Yes, Smartmatic, I think it was the founder of Smartmatic is from Venezuela. So that's where the whole thing started, that they somehow manipulated the election. In 2017, Smartmatic pulled out of Venezuela. First off, it's an American company. Second, they pulled out of Venezuela because they stated that there was shenanigans going on over there on the part of the Venezuelan government, and they didn't want to be a part of it, so they pulled out of there. There is no evidence that Venezuela had anything to do with the election in 2020. There just is none. Besides a loose connection that the guy who started a Smartmatic is from Venezuela. That's it. So if you want to hold on to that, that's one thing, but that's all there is. As far as the Russia hoax, let's remember who is actively calling it that. Every time they need some cover. Russia, 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 Russia. The reason that we're saying it in that manner is because Donald Trump repeats it often. Russia, Russia, Russia is all he says, all 3 times. And that's the way it is regurgitated by people in the alt media. They don't say the Russia hoax or anything, or even if they do, they say Russia, 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 the Russia, Russia, Russia hoax, right? There's a reason for that.
Well, I think that actually came from the Brady Bunch, Marcia. But my point was,
hold on. I'll tell you this, Don. I'll tell you this, and I'll give you time after this. I'll tell you this. There's more proof that Russia was involved in the 2016 election that Iran or Venezuela were involved in any election. All right, let's remember Guccifer 2.0, who gave you alt media, gave you the Podesta emails. Okay, gave that's from Russia. Handed you Pizzagate, okay? We can't concentrate on Pizzagate and talk about how legitimate it is without talking about the people that released it to you. Russian intelligence hacking the DNC. We can prove that, okay? So there is something to it. Regardless, go ahead, Don.
Well, I would argue, my point was that it's the same kind of thing. Again, you're looking for a boogeyman. And the Republicans were talking about Russia, Russia, Russia. And I think I don't know if Trump ever said Russia, Russia, Russia. I think we all said it because of the Brady Bunch. Russia, Russia, Russia.
He says it all the time.
Yeah. Well, maybe he does now, but I mean, I don't know but again, but now he's going to have to switch tactics because I guess it's Venezuela. That doesn't have a ring to it. Iran, maybe. I don't know. They can go back to bomb Iran, bomb Iran. But we're looking for boogeymen. And again, it's always what we try to do to justify something or accuse it. The enemies are in Washington, D.C. And you can see they're always out for war. Peace never wins. So we always have these little skirmishes, but they're thirsting for a war. This is what this corrupt system runs on. It's like blood to a vampire. They need it. We have a war system. I don't think it can revive this. This economy's dead. I don't think World War III could revive it. I don't think you're going to get what you got after World War II. They can't do it, but times have changed. You produce young people that RFK Jr., I think it's very accurate saying 70% of the young people are physically, emotionally, or mentally unable to serve. I don't think they can field an army. So it would have to be all drones and bombing and everything. I don't think they could put boots on the ground. Unless you put high heels on the ground, maybe, and lead with the transgenders. They just don't have the capacity for it. And you can tell the people, especially the young people out there, they know this is BS, even though they're not political. Because they're looking at the job market now. They know how bad it is. And that's why I didn't watch Trump's State of the Union address, but from what I understand, he did what he always does and just what they all do about how great the State of the Union is. It's always horrible, but they always claim it's always great. But he, says it's the best ever. And he just, somebody pointed out here, because of this, we'll probably have higher gas prices. He's still claiming gas prices have gone down when they haven't. He just, and his supporters carried it. Are you buying gas somewhere that I'm not? Are you buying food? Somewhere we're not, and what kind of job market? I know too many of these people that are trying to get jobs out there. There's nothing there. nothing decent at all. And so for them to keep lying like that, and that's why his movement bears some responsibility, because anybody at this point that is still supporting him is an idiot. You can't possibly do this. I don't care whatever kind of great stuff he says to some CNN reporter about fake news or dressing. Okay, that was entertaining for a while, but at this point, they're looking better than him. So at this point, he is a joke. He's obviously, at best, he is what I think he is, an actor and a buffoon that's being led around, and he's following a script. At worst, he's, I don't know, he's got the worst narcissistic personality disorder in history. But regardless, we're stuck with him for 3 years. So I don't know what can be done, but I hope what happens here is what's happened every other time with him, where he does this and then he backs off and we don't even talk about it for a couple of weeks. That's what I'm hoping.
Look at this. Look at this guy right here. John, this, that, in retrospect, maybe you have a point here. It was a strategic move, Venezuela, right? To prep the operation.
I said that.
You did say that.
Yeah,
you did.
We talked about hemispheric energy reserves. This is related to the Wolfowitz Memorandum in '92, and they were getting ready to disrupt the supply. This has been planned out for a long time. This is not spontaneous. This has been the plan all along. I mean, you go back, and we get fooled every single time because it is so appealing. Hey, let's live in peace. Let's build alliances, peace, commerce, and honest friendship. This is Thomas Jefferson, who was no pacifist. He put down the Barbary pirates. He knew when obviously he was a revolutionary. He knew when to fight, when not to, because he had wisdom. We don't have that anymore. I mean, we elect people like Woodrow Wilson. And I just got a text from Mr. Anderson. We discussed this on the last show we did it at a Paratruther on Rudolf Hess. If you're interested in a little bit of hidden history, go check out the latest Paratruther I have on the podcast feed.
Skull and Bone, Rudolf Hess.
Oh, okay. All right.
I could be wrong, but that's what sparked in my head when I heard it.
Okay. But we talked about Woodrow Wilson ran on the slogan in his re-election in 1916. His actual slogan was, he kept us out of war. And as soon as the next inauguration came around, he took us into World War I. Yep. We do this, and FDR did it. FDR did the same thing, and in his third election, he said he was going to keep us out of the war, and he wouldn't send your boys off to another European war. He hated war. He's seen war. We're doing this again, and this time, unlike a post 9/11 world, I mean, what is the cover story here? Literally making it up. There is no security threat to the United States of America whatsoever. And even obviously you always have bad actors and terror cells and everything else, but it makes no sense. You're talking about the terrible ifs, and that's probably what they're looking for. If you read something like The Guns of August by Barbara Tuchman, who wrote about the beginning of World War I, once the war kicked off, they couldn't stop it. Even the Kaiser was on the phone crying, trying to figure out, it couldn't stop his own. They had the Schlieffen plan, the von Schlieffen plan, and they had everything that was already cascading because it crossed over into treaty violations that automatically activated armies. So you're messing with forces that the average person certainly doesn't understand. But I don't think that the people in Washington do. I think they're just useful tools. This is part of building a scenario where it makes it plausible that we can destroy what's left of American sovereignty and individual sovereignty. This will be, and I hope I'm wrong, this will be akin to what happened to the liberty constitutional movement in the mid-1990s after Oklahoma City. When they brought in their Manchurian candidate, Tim McVeigh, it squashed that movement. And we have already have a funhouse mirror version of America First. But you add on something bad happening, like if you look at the narrative and the consciousness of this country, especially, I know my algorithm feeds me stuff, but people are done with this. They're not going to fight Israel's wars. We don't want to be in the Middle East. We don't want any of this stuff. And the same type of stuff that worked 10 years ago doesn't work anymore. Just look at, especially after post Charlie Kirk. That was a watershed moment within 48 hours, you had influencers saying, I think Israel did this. Regardless if they did or not, it's already in the consciousness, so they can't get that narrative back. They're going to need to do something in turn. That is what to stay as frosty as you can, folks, because they need to change internally or shame people for not going along with whatever this is. They will drag you with them. So that's the danger here, because they need something.
All right, man. Yeah. Let me see if this works.
And I'm talking about false flags, folks.
What are you saying? You think what are you saying about false flags?
I'm just saying, we talked about, they already lead with what is going to happen in the aftermath, right? What's the blowback? They're causing a blowback. They obviously want one. So what will that blowback be? And we've said what has been happening, and screw the elections and the selections and the parties and all. They do the same stuff, letting people in without any sort of vetting process. And I'm not talking about migrant workers. I'm talking about whoever, and maybe teams or whatever they've done in the last 10 years to set up this unknown where they can pin it on somebody. Well, we just didn't have the border closed, or we didn't do this, or we didn't do that, or we should have been stronger on this, or we should have bombed that. Something will happen if they have, especially if they have it in mind where you need to change the internal viewpoint of the American populace. You got to turn them against something else, and it'll need to be epic, because this is the size of the blowback. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know they can come up with anything. And I do think what you have now, you have, and because of Trump, again, because you have millions of people, that's why you have the left interested in the Epstein files, because they hate Trump and they're hoping to find something on him. Otherwise, they wouldn't be interested. You have millions of people that are going to oppose war here because Trump is doing it. That's a great thing. So, I'm cheering on TDS at this point. We need more of it. But it could come in handy. Maybe it will keep us out of war. Because we're already going to have those polls. Typically, what happens is once we start a war, then 90% of the American sheep will fall in line and support it, like they did in the idiotic Gulf War, things like that. But I don't think that will happen this time, because I don't see any of those people who hated Trump before. Certainly, they got to hate him more than they ever have now, supporting anything he's in charge of. So if he's pushing this, they're going to be opposed to it. That's a great thing. And then you have the people on the right, the people that originally believed his rhetoric and liked his, non-interventionist talk. They're all going to be opposed to it. So you're left with a very small group of MAGA people. The Lindsey Grahams. Lindsey Graham must be so giddy. It's like they, constructed a gay nightclub in his backyard. He must be so happy at this point. But there's so few people like that. And I don't think they can sell it. I really don't. They do have a network now, CBS News, that Barry Weiss, it's basically Israeli propaganda, so they can try, but I don't think the other because the other networks, CNN and MSNBC, they hate Trump. So I don't see them. We'll see, because war always wins out. But so far, I don't know. We'll look and see what the results are from the mainstream media if they support this.
Rudolph Hess, not Skull and Bones. I got my Hesses messed up.
Yeah.
Also, let's talk about that just a little bit. I want to play this clip, but before we go there, yes, there is an inherent hatred for Donald Trump, but there's a reason for that hatred, right? People, I want to believe that people are against war, not against Donald Trump. People are against pedophilia, not against Donald Trump. Donald Trump just so happens to be involved in this shit, right? So and of course, you're right to a degree that some people are driven specifically by hate. The tribalism exists, right? But I want to think that the majority are like, you know what? This dude's a pedophile. Or at least there's evidence to point in that direction. He's covering up for pedophiles. We don't give a damn if it's Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, or anyone else. You guys got to be held accountable for this, right? For whatever went down. We don't want war. It's not because I hate Donald Trump. It's because I don't want war. I don't want war. You know, I might hate Donald Trump as a result of the things that he is doing, but it's the things that he is doing that I don't want. Care less. I hope Donald Trump just stops and goes somewhere and leaves me the hell alone. And I don't have to freaking think about him doing anything anymore. It doesn't matter to me. Let him live his life. I don't care. You know, but I don't want to go bombing Iran for no freaking reason either.
You know what Lincoln said?
What'd he say?
He said that all the armies on the earth with a Napoleon at the head couldn't take a drink out of the Potomac unless we have a say-so. What he meant was all the foreign armies and all of the threats that America faced wouldn't destroy America. We would have to, if we die, we die by suicide. That's Lincoln. We'll be our own author and finisher. I remember the quote.
Well, he's right.
Well, explain to me. I mean, I know that people speak Fox News-ese or whatever it is, and I'm sure there's some really excited boomers right now who listen to Mark Levin that are just eating this up. But we're talking about a fraction of people.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Let me try to play this and see if it works. It's important just so you guys can see the narrative that they're trying to build. Let's see.
With actually the technically how the commander-in-chief can do this, sir.
Under Article 1 of the Constitution, Congress has the power to declare war. And there's a difference between declaring war and making war. Under Article 2, the President of the United States is the commander-in-chief. And going all the way back to the Federalist Papers, our founders all agreed that the president has the inherent power to repel an invasion or an imminent attack on the United States. We have not had a declaration of war since World War II. And in 1973, Congress passed over President Nixon's veto. They overrode the veto, and they passed the War Powers Act of 1973. That's been on the book for over 50 years. The problem for that statute is no president, Democrat or Republican, has ceded its constitutionality. Every president has said the War Powers Act of 1973 is not constitutional, and no president has complied with the War Powers Act of 1973. Any court that has addressed this issue when people have sued the president to try to stop, for example, President Obama's attack on Libya, the courts have said that these are political questions that the courts will not decide, meaning these are questions.
Well, it's a 3-minute clip, and I'm not going to play the whole thing in the interest of time. We don't have it. The hour has flown by. But what they're trying to say here is the president can do whatever he wants, really. You know, in regards to war, he just says, I can make war. We don't have to declare war. They're using the semantics of the word to twist things. Now, I will be fully transparent. I don't know if he's correct or not, but these are the type of narratives that come out of the war room, and they've been wrong many times. It's just the interpretation that they push out there. Stephen Miller does it all the time. Several others. Anyway, Tony, what do you think?
Well, they always use this legalese and precedents. That's why it's important. Like previous presidents set precedents, like David Knight brings up, and that's what we've been doing post World War II. And it was really with Truman with the police action. That's what he called it.
Yep.
He had a press conference, and one of the reporters asked him, "What would you call this? A police action in Korea with the UN?" That's what I would call. I call it a police action. Yes, so that's what Korea got called, and of course, over 30,000 Americans died, not to mention wounded, and the amount of death and destruction that was caused by not actually calling something what it is and getting around the subject. That's when he fired MacArthur. And the same thing with the Vietnam War. It was a police action or containment or just part of a larger policy. So they've gotten away with it. We didn't declare war for Gulf War I. We certainly didn't declare war after after 9/11 or anything. We just do. We have a foreign policy, and it's supposed to be interpreted as if America is under direct threat, as the commander in chief, the United States can respond. Like if there's, this is like we were supposed to be. If this was December of 1941, FDR is supposed to repel the Japanese attack before they attack us, stuff like that. That's what that is for. But no, it's been bastardized and it's been manipulated. And now we just have an open-ended perpetual war for perpetual peace. And, this again it's a false narrative that's going to get fed, and we're just justifying. But they may cryogenically unfreeze the anti-war left. They may rise from the dead. We'll see. The anti-war left were long since thought extinct. They'll be brought back, maybe in a Jurassic Park type fashion. Maybe they found the mosquitoes that fed on them at Woodstock, and were able to reanimate the anti-war left finally. I would like to see that. Come on, let's bring them back for the midterms.
Well, no, it exists. It exists, and you know what? I find it really interesting, this Thomas Massey Ro Khanna combination. I got to tell you, it's a Democrat and a Republican coming together to push for some of this stuff, and I'm like, I like it. And they're both anti-war, so it exists on the I would say on the left and on the right. We just need to make it popular again.
Yeah, if you had more people than those two in Congress, if you had people willing to do that, this is it's Congress's fault that we haven't declared war since World War II. Because they've rolled over and played that. They just have, but it doesn't matter, because if they were, we saw what happened in World War One. I mean, there was, I forget how many, not very many though, but I think less than 50, whatever, voted against it. So there weren't much then. But World War II, there was only one. My girl Jeanette Rankin, the only one that voted against it, and she had to hide out in the Capitol and have police protection to get out of there. They were going to lynch her. She had the balls, and she lost her feminist role. That's why nobody talks about her anymore. She was a good feminist up till that point, but she was anti-war, and she was the only one. So back then, even then, nobody saw through this nonsense. They were ready to. The American public was overwhelmingly against going into World War II. But what happened? You had the dirty, sneaky, rotten Japs, and an obvious false flag that nobody saw through until Joe McCarthy did in the 1950s. He was the first conspiracy theorist, one of the first ones. Now we all see that for what it was. Congress ought to know there, but that's why Massey looks so good, and now Ro Khanna coming over making an alliance with them, because there's so few of those guys, and maybe that's the fault of the public. It keeps voting 96% of these people back in every election. Lindsey Graham, these people that nobody could support, they'll be reelected. Who's voting for them? You ought to be required to have a stamp on your head that you voted for these people, so people can see who you are, and then they just walk out. I'm not going to listen to anything you say because you're that stupid. But I mean, it's unfortunate, because Congress, you have a judicial tyranny through judicial review. The courts have way too much power, and you have imperial presidents. Trump is just the latest in a long line that do whatever they want. You have a constantly lame duck Congress that is weak and doesn't do anything. They're not even close to the other two branches. They could take control of this with 535 people, but they just won't do it. They won't do it here either.
Yeah. Man, it's a sticky situation, but let's hope that the anti-war crowd comes back. We need to impeach and remove, and that's not going to solve everything, but it'll help, right? We need to impeach and remove this ridiculous cartoon character of a president. This needs to go. This entire administration and I'm being nice by calling them that. This clown fucking show that we have in Washington D.C. right now needs to go, and maybe we'll replace it with a different clown show. It's probably the way it'll go. But maybe a more competent clown show than this one. Is that too much to ask? That's how bad that's how low the bar is at this point. Tony, let's do some cleaning up, right? We got about 5-6 minutes left. I'm going to stay on an extra 15 minutes for anyone that wants to talk to me about anything that I've said. I know Ronnie is interested. Ronnie, I sent you a clip, a link on your X account. I'm going to drop a link in the X account here. Now, if Ronnie's going to come on, most likely, if he doesn't, I'll speak to someone else. But I only got 15 minutes, 30 minutes tops. So I don't know if I'll get everybody in. That's assuming people show up besides Ronnie, right? So something will have to go on next week. Tony, if you can drop that link on the Rumble chat for anybody that's over there, that would be dope. Also, we have to read reviews. Did anybody leave a review?
Yeah, let's check. Actually, I think so. Let me see.
All right.
Yeah, Apple reviews, and thank you for reminding me of that. If you go to Apple, and especially Apple, wherever podcasts are found, if I can see it, if you leave us a 5-star review, I will read it on air. Yeah, this was 4 days ago, so we do have a new one. I think you might like this one.
No one matter if I like it or not. You know, as long as you give us 5 stars, you can say whatever the hell you want.
As long as you give us 5 stars, I'll read it. Right. It doesn't matter if it's negative or not. No one is safe from the MWO. I've been listening on Apple Podcasts for 5 years now after first hearing Billy Ray on Clyde Lewis's app. When he had the app, before they tried to slowly silence him. The app would loop The Infinite Fringe, David Knight, and a few other shows, and America Unplugged has only gotten sharper with time. This isn't safe, sanitized commentary. It's fearless, independent analysis that refuses to bow to mainstream narratives. What keeps me locked in the pattern recognition. Topics that were mocked or dismissed years ago are now front-page conversations. Watching so-called conspiracy theories age into documented reality has been both validating and unsettling. The show doesn't spoon-feed opinions. It lays out information, asks hard questions, and lets critical thinkers connect the dots. If you want comfortable talking points, this isn't your show. If you want independent thought, uncomfortable truths, and conversations go where the others won't, this podcast absolutely earns 5 stars. Well, thank you for that.
Who was it?
Mr. Burns It Down.
What's up? Thank you.
I love that. Yes, if you leave us a review, folks, and you know, all 3 of us have our own lives and we're busy, and I need to do more infrastructure show work. So appreciate everybody who's stuck around through all of our schedules trying to create a better America Unplugged. And we do try to stay on topic the best that we can. It's a bit of a chaos sometimes.
It's mostly my fault, guys. You know, that's fine. Read the one from 4 months ago that I told you. I don't check these things. I don't check them. But once Tony instituted this, I was like, let me check them. And there was one from 4 months ago that should be read because, you know.
Right. This is 4 months ago. And it says, reel me back in, 5 stars. Man, I thought BRV had lost the plot for a bit, but he seems spot on. I love having a hive mind show to listen to. Y'all are great. Peace from Virginia. F the system.
Nice. Who was this?
It's from Eat Walk.
Eat Walk. If you're still listening, Eat Walk, you are initiated into the mystery school's next level intellect. You are tuned into the Akashic Records, the whole deal. Okay. You get it. Thank you. You thought I had lost the plot, and now I'm back in your good graces. I love it. Thank you so much. I need more of that. Please, 5 stars and more of that. But even if you hate, you give 5 stars, we'll talk about it. And I'll respond to whatever it is, you know, you want. And if you want to come on and talk to me about it, last 15 minutes, we will do that. All right. Check this out. Don Jeffries, the legendary, tell the people where they can find you.
The only place not being shadow banned is Substack, as always. Donald Jeffries at Substack.com. So if you don't subscribe to me, please subscribe to me there. All my books are out there. You know, I get 10 of them out there. You can find. I'm just reading this. It's a bit jinxty, Barrett. But you know, people can find out more than they want. If you didn't see my interview yesterday with Kim Karath, very, very interesting. She was the youngest child in Sound of Music, and she's got a toe or two in our world. She's interested in the Epstein files, and she also has a kid that she's raising and has special needs. So it was an interesting show. She was a great guest. So if you didn't catch that, catch that.
Fantastic. It's not letting me drop a link for some reason. It says that YouTube is not allowing me to drop links because it typically does that, and I may have to find another way to drop the link. I don't know if Don, if you can do it on your YouTube channel, if you would help me out. Try to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go, but I'll see if I can.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah.
Tony Arterburn, what's going on, sir? The wisest of all the wolves. Oh, I need you to address something before we get out of here.
Yeah, it's in there. It's there.
Beautiful. Okay, great. Thank you.
Oh no, it didn't. No, it didn't. It said YouTube
Right.
YouTube rejected your comment. This is fairly common when
Yeah.
sharing. Yeah, that's weird. It didn't
I have
usually
no
do
idea.
that.
So, and that kind of kills this whole thing, right? Like, how the hell am I supposed to share the link? Regardless, maybe if you email me ahead of time, that kind of sucks. I like the spontaneity of it, but whatever. Tone, explain your shirt. John Brissom is hitting me up saying that you're wearing a psychological operations shirt. Can you please explain it?
It's a psychological operations. It's a rendition of the Ghost Army of World War II for the American side. This was a PSYOP shirt, which I thought was interesting because we're living inside one. So I just thought it was fun to wear.
There you go.
I used to work next to in Fort Bragg. I was next to the PSYOPs branch. You know, the special operations out of Bragg. That's where they get remember the commercial we saw with what was it? The Ghost in the Machine?
Oh, yeah.
That's from Bragg.
We used that for freeworld.fm when it was up. We used the Ghost. Does it mean that we are psychological operators? No, it does not mean that. So just because people are wearing shirts doesn't mean anything. All right, Tony, tell them where they can find you, brother.
Yeah, I mean, I like there's different. I wear motorcycle shirts too. I am not a motorcycle. You can't ride me. If I love making Billy laugh. All right, yeah, folks. If you want to do something, I think would be a good move right now. I'm going to do this when the show ends. I'm going to go to antiwar.com and I'm going to put in a monthly donation. I think that's a good thing to do. I think antiwar.com is a great organization. I'm going to go put in a monthly donation. I do something. Another thing, you can support Don and his Substack. One of the last voices out there for rational thought. There's so many things going on, people losing their minds on every side of this equation. So rational players, I already support Don on his channel, but you can go to, I think, antiwar.com, and you can go find me at tony.gold. You can support the podcast. If you need precious metals, you know where to find me. I think that'll be important more and more as we careen into whatever this is, this kinetic war and supply disruptions and oil, and inflation's only going to get worse at this point. I'm not going to do an infomercial here. But that's where you can find me if you need to do that.
All right. Fantastic. You guys want to say hello to Ronnie real quick, and then I guess you can go. What's up, Ronnie?
I had to go, but I'll say hi to him.
Yeah. What's up, Ronnie? How you doing? There's a lot of background noise coming from you. I don't know what's going on over there. I'm gonna mute him. All right, boys, you guys can take off. I'll take it from here. I'll shut down the show. I'll hit you up, Tony, and let you know when I'm done with it and everything. Okay, buddy?
Take care, guys.
Thank you both.
Pray for peace. See you all later. Okay. Okay, bye.
All right, let's see how this goes. Ronnie, what's up, brother? It sounds like you're in the middle of a daycare.
Let's see.
Yeah,
I have a lot of kids here.
I don't know if we'll be able to do this with all the noise, brother. Hold on. I got to keep muting you. Maybe. Hold on, buddy. Maybe you can ask me the question. Oh, he's got it. All right. Well, there goes Ronnie. It's a new experiment here. He's busting through the wall like Hulk, busting through the brick wall and telling people to shut the hell up. Hey, yo, shut up. I'm trying to do a show here. I'm on a worldwide broadcast, America Unplugged. Listen, everybody, please, if you haven't left a 5-star review over on Apple, it helps us a lot. Over 100 of you have. I don't know how many we have right now. But I'm going to be checking them actively now because of, what Tony instituted, so we'll be up on them. And if you leave one, we will read it, whether it's good or not, but it has to be 5 stars. Otherwise, if you just want to trash the show and give us 1 star, that's your prerogative, but we're not going to read it. So give us 5 stars. And if you want to talk crap, that's fine. And I'll read it and we'll talk about it, and say what's up. To you, we still appreciate your listening. We appreciate your time. Your perspective, the fact it's humbling to me that whether you agree, disagree, like or hate, that you tune in every week and listen to what we have to say. You know, it means a whole lot to me, you know, that you guys show up week after week, and it's one of the main reasons I continue to do this. Like I would have stopped. I love broadcasting, but I would have stopped doing it a long time ago because I'm very disillusioned with the process, as all of you know. But I love talking to my guys, you know, and when I do my own show, you know, I love talking to whomever I have on also, you know, but I appreciate it. Oh, I thought he was back and he's gone. So I think Ronnie wanted to talk to me about Cambridge Analytica. He doesn't think it's as impactful or dangerous, I think is what he said. I don't want to put words in his mouth. When he comes back, he can say it. But he doesn't think it's as dangerous as I make it out to be. And I think it's very dangerous, but it's not just about Cambridge Analytica. It's Cambridge Analytica is the Rosetta Stone for all of these operations that are being run on us. And, you know, like it's what turned me on to, or turned me off to what's going on here in the alt media. All right, let me unmute Ronnie and see what's up. All right, it's quiet over there. Sorry, I had to make you tell the people to quiet down. I know it's a family thing. My apologies, Ronnie. How are you? How are you, buddy?
I tried.
Can you hear me?
I hear my feedback really hard.
Okay.
Wait, I need to mute this YouTube thing. Yeah, well, it's good.
How are you, buddy?
And I watched the documentary that you have been speaking about for a year.
What doc? I haven't been. I've never seen that documentary. Just to be clear,
it's more like from a libertarian standpoint, they're just pushing right-wing politics, and if you're winning by pushing right-wing politics, isn't that's just politics, right? They're doing it like super sophisticated way, but still.
Can you restate that, buddy?
In the documentary.
Can you restate that one more time? Just restate what you said.
I can't hear you for some reason.
This is beautiful. It's working out great. First experiment here.
YouTube on to hear you?
I can hear you just fine. I want the people to be able to hear you because I talked over you in the beginning, and I want everything to be clear. All right, this is beautiful. So pretty much what Ronnie said was that it's just right-wing people pushing right-wing talking points, and it's incredibly sophisticated. But they're still just doing that. So why is that a problem? Is pretty much what he said. I want to give him another opportunity to be able to say what he means right now. Ronnie, can you hear me? Ronnie, can you hear me? Ronnie, can you hear me? I want to get.
Yes, now I can hear you. I put it live on YouTube, so I can hear you now. Yeah.
Go ahead. Say what you were saying. Say what you were saying. I'm throwing it to Ronnie.
Yeah, I didn't hear your answer, so I can't really.
I didn't give an answer.
Yeah, my argument is it's just politics, and they're doing.
No, give me your argument one more time, Ronnie. Otherwise, we're going to have to shut this down and do it again next week.
Yeah, it's so delayed, so I'm up. Yeah, right. The argument is they're doing. They're doing politics just a great way.
Okay, so listen to what I have to say, and it's going to be on delay. Please don't respond until I'm done, right? What Ronnie is saying that they're doing politics in a great way. That's what Cambridge Analytica is. He saw a documentary that I have not seen. He says that I've seen it. I have not seen it, and if I did see it, I saw it so long ago that I don't remember. It's called The Great Hack, The Giant Hack. I forget what it is. It's on Netflix. I tried to watch it this morning, so I could be ready for it. But of course, World War III is about to break out, so I didn't do any of that. Regardless, this is not just right wingers talking about politics and talking about it in a very sophisticated way. This is an admitted psychological operation. And it started with the SEL group. This is weapons grade military psychological operations. This is admitted by by themselves, by the SEL group, which no longer exists, and by Cambridge Analytica, which no longer exists. It is mental manipulation. So what they do, what they did, and what people or entities continue to do, and we call it, like Brissom and I call it, like we give it Cambridge Analytica 2.0 or Cambridge Analytica 3.0. We've explained this before, but it bears repeating. The actual Cambridge Analytica company no longer exists. We use the term as an umbrella term to categorize all the different psychological operations that are being run on us currently. There are different companies that have taken that model and ran with it, of course, you know, and they're constantly doing this. We're not putting the genie back in the bottle. So the problem is there's nothing wrong. Well, not that there's nothing wrong. It is not illegal to do data harvesting per se, but that doesn't make it right, for one, just because it's not illegal. Two, there are certain things that were very illegal about what Cambridge Analytica did. And one of them is the privacy aspect of things and the consent. People's information were taken without any concern for their privacy and without their consent. And then it was turned around and used upon them as a weapon of cultural manipulation. It's psychographical warfare, you know, where they take a profile of what you're thinking, of who you are, given the information that you put out on social media, and then cater to you. They are molding your perception. They are guiding what you do, what you think. Your thoughts are not your own. And this is when I was turned on to this, I was like, damn, how much have I been manipulated here? You know, not necessarily with the Cambridge Analytica app, because I was always opposed to Donald Trump, but they used a lot of the tropes and talking points that the alternative media was known for, and they took those and turned them against us. They did it in Britain with Brexit. You know, they did it all over the world. Michael Flynn, who is a bona fide piece of crap psychological operator, was intimately involved with the SEL group. He sat on their board. This is making you think that you are in charge of you, when in all actuality, they are telling you what to think. And this goes to the core of what it means to be in the truth movement. You know, what it means to be in the alternative movement. You want to talk about mind control. This is mind control that we can prove. They took information that did not belong to them without our consent and turned it against us and made us get to this point right now. The majority of the people that are running around doing whatever they're doing have no idea why they're really doing it, because they created, Cambridge Analytica created profiles, bots, fictional accounts of AIs. They weren't people, but they fed you what you wanted to hear. You know, and the fact that they did that without your consent should be incredibly alarming to you. And this isn't a partisan thing. This goes for anybody that uses it. It is illegal. It is unethical, and it should not be done. It's literally an information war. It is literally mind colonization. It is literally mind control that can be proven out and sourced. And so that's why this is a giant problem. And it's, if we concentrate on Cambridge Analytica itself, you know, I'm sure we can make an argument as to why that's a giant problem, but the genie's been let out of the bottle. That's the thing. There is manipulation, propaganda everywhere. And social media is the instrument used to get at your emotions, to get at your biases, draw them out, and make you believe that you are a part of the process. Fourth generation and fifth generation warfare. Fourth generation warfare, they make you believe that you are a part of the war, that you are causing a change by what you're doing. The digital warrior stuff that Michael Flynn would talk about. You are a digital warrior. You can get on the internet and be a warrior for us. Fifth generation warfare is straight up propaganda and mental manipulation. It's non-kinetic. They colonize your mind. And I think it's the greatest conspiracy theory ever because it's real. It's real. And if we are being manipulated, but we know we're being manipulated, we have a chance at fighting back. If we are slaves and we are hard slaves, they put chains on us, right? We know that there is no denying that we are slaves. We got chains on us, we're getting whipped, right? But if they colonize our mind, if they take over our mind, and you don't know it, and you think you're free, how the hell are you supposed to break out of that? How? You know, so that's why I think it's as impactful as it is. And anyone that sits down and really analyzes Cambridge Analytica, right, just sits down and goes through it and see what they were able to do and where we are now. Look at where we are now that we put a pedophile, a grifter, a liar, an adjudicated rapist. We go down the line of what this guy did. We put him in the presidency. And there's a lot of reasons for it. But if you leave out the psychological warfare aspect of it, you're leaving out a big piece of the puzzle. And us here in the alternative media are responsible, I think, for pushing back on that, being that we were taken advantage of. And that's why I take it personally, because we were all taken advantage. We are all still being taken advantage of. And I don't know how we snap out of it. It's above my pay grade. But that's why I feel the way I feel about it. It's not just, we're talking about right-wing stuff. Anybody's free to talk about what they want. They took your information without your consent and weaponized it against you. That's a freaking problem, Ronnie. That's a huge problem. And you think they're going to stop? Look at who's in power. Elon Musk and freaking, what's this other? Peter Thiel's stupid ass. They are not going to stop. And it's coming to a point where reality is so blurred, we don't know what's real and what's not. That's where we're at, Ronnie. What's up? I hope you can hear me. I mean, I know you can. I don't know where the delay is, though. So go ahead. I'll give you a chance to respond. Let's give it some time so he can respond, guys.
Yes, I'm just checking if my mic is working here. If when I hear myself, I can't start talk. Okay. So yeah, I agree with you. It's a problem if we don't know about it. But as it is now, we know about it. So when you know everything is manipulated, and you should. That's why I'm listening to you, because I want to hear the left point of view. That's why I also listen to Breaking Point every day, to hear the left from Crystal Ball and the other guys there. So I'm not sure if it's that, like if they are doing it like so good anymore, because everybody knows everything is manipulated and it's getting even worse and worse and worse, so nobody believes anything. So maybe that's a bad thing, in case nobody believes anything, so we just don't vote, which they did. They did in India. They made that's something that should be illegal, that they made a campaign to stop voting for the party they didn't want to win. So the party lost because they had like, to do something is to not do something. So like 40% of the youth stayed home and did not vote, so they lost. So that shouldn't be illegal. But if you're just pushing like they did in America, they put out Crooked Hillary and Stop the Steal message and stuff like that. I don't think that should be illegal, even if you're doing it directly to the voter, him or her. So that's just information that you're sending to people, and that's, everybody can do that. They just did it better than everybody else. And also why they shut down the company is because it was a journalist that wanted the information they had on him, but they did not do it. and that made it criminal, and that's the crime they're caught for, nothing else. So, and the harvesting information was from Facebook, and you give consent to Facebook to
No, you
you
don't.
give
They got
out information yourself. They're just
that's not
harvesting.
even true. That
You make a
that-
profile and you put up baby pictures and you do quizzes and you do whatever you're doing. The information is just there. Everybody can gather it.
you don't give consent to another company to do that. Facebook was sued over this, by the way, and they're in court right now for similar things. So there's a lot of, and even if that's the case, we should demand that no longer be the case. It is our information. If they're going to take our thoughts and they're going to take our information and use it, we should be compensated for it, for one. Okay. Second, I don't want them using it, period. Right. And the fact that you think that the Cambridge Analytica operation was just mundane, that it was just people I don't know what I can do to fix that at this point, if that's what you feel. Ronnie, I think you lack a couple of key pieces here, and I will try to work with you off air. I don't know how plainer I can put it than what I did. But this is a very dangerous. This is not just sharing information, brother. This is something they admittedly at SEL Group says it's a military weapon. It's a weapon. It's a perception weapon. They admit this. The people that are responsible for taking the information illegally. There's nothing legal about what they did.
But it's a very slippery road.
We are here now. We can call it a slippery road. We're here now. We have to deal with it, and we have to look out for.
If you start,
we have to look out for our cognitive freedom, our cognitive health. It belongs to us. If anything belongs to us,
what kind of information can you block from being shared?
I didn't hear you. Say it again. Go ahead, buddy. Can you hear me?
What kind of information can you block? Like can you send right-wing memes, or is that illegal?
You can send whatever you want.
How long?
There shouldn't be anything legal. What happened as far as information goes, and that's a very slippery slope in itself, because everything is filled with misinformation and disinformation. Jackson T. Barrett in the chat has been totally mind colonized, and he doesn't even freaking know it. So it's like that's a very slippery slope. Well, the problem is it was taken without our consent by a military grades weapon, psychological weapons exporter, admitted by them and weaponized against you, Ronnie. The reason you believe half of the things you believe in conspiracy world are because you've been told those things. What do you actually believe because Ronnie believes it? Go through your show and what you actually believe, and that you can prove about 99%. And I've been on your show, and probably whatever I said there was a bunch of nonsense. I don't remember how long ago it was. I don't remember if it was post this operation or pre this operation. If it was post, then I might have said something that was worth a damn. But before, who knows what conspiracies I was pushing along, thinking that it was real. Go through your show and be honest with yourself about what it is that you are saying and who put that information in your head.
I'm not doing my show anymore, but it was 2 years ago, and you mostly shat on Trump. So
it was good. It was a good thing. Listen, I am not telling you to do something that I haven't done. I don't do my show anymore. My Infinite Fringe show. I went through all of those, and I had your favorite conspiracy theorists were on my show. And I thought I knew what I was talking about, and odds are it was complete nonsense, bro. So I'm not asking you to do anything that I haven't already done. It doesn't matter that you're not doing your show anymore. Go through that. You still hold a lot of those beliefs. Why do you hold those beliefs? And who told you about them? What's the algorithm feeding you? You think that's not a problem? I don't know what to say if you don't think that's a problem. right? There might be common sense ways to separate yourself from it, but in an ever evolving world, it's going to become harder and harder to separate yourself from the AI. So it's a problem we need to take on head first. And
I agree, but we know about it, so I think we have a better chance.
Who knows about it,
most
Ronnie?
of the people.
Who knows about it? You just had to watch a documentary to know about it a couple of days ago. You don't know about it. I don't know fully about it. We're finding out things here, and this is in the alternative media. It's a niche of a niche of a niche. There's a very small community here that, quote unquote, knows about it. The majority of the people walking the earth have no idea. Go walk the streets of your neighborhood and ask them, hey, do you know what Cambridge Analytica is? And see how many people say, yeah, we do. Fuck that. How many, do you know what psychological operations are? Ask them. Who knows? Me and you might know about them, but that doesn't mean the majority of the world does. And what you and I know about is a fraction of what we need to know. We're in trouble, in serious trouble. And awareness is the best I think I can do to try to, I don't know, man, to try to build some type of resistance. I don't know. So that's why I try to tell people about it in hopes that they will go look it up. But the propaganda is strong. I don't have military grade weapons to freaking let loose on the public like they do. The propaganda is very strong, Ronnie. We only have a little bit of time left. I'll let you get the last word.
About the military grade, that was one time said by Brittany. Yeah, Brittany that worked for Cambridge. She said that when they had the inquiry into what had happened. So she said it once that she thinks the company had so good information on people that you could call it military grade information. So yeah, that's that. But also, I just think it's so hard to narrow down, like how much information can you legally gather on people and share with people without making it too totalitarian. The information is free, it's out there, you just need to gather it. So if people is doing that, I think you should be able to use it as
Say
we
what's
are
up
willingly
here.
putting out, even if we want to or not. So
All right, buddy.
that's that.
I don't want to live in that world.
Libertarian view on it.
I definitely don't want to live in that world, but may not have a choice at this point. Well, we do have a choice, but it looks less and less likely that we're going to exercise that choice. Listen, Ronnie, man, thank you for your time. You're welcome back to challenge me on whatever you want, as long as you fix that audio. And say what's up to your beautiful family back there, buddy. I'm assuming that's your family. So blessings to all of them. All right, buddy. And you know where to find me, man. So I'll be here, even if I'm not on the air. I'm available to you, Ronnie. Be good, man. I appreciate you. Say bye to the people. He said bye. He didn't utter the word. You know, he did one of these. Anyway, like I think it's really important to have these type of conversations. If people don't know about Cambridge Analytica, and clearly, like, you know, Ronnie didn't. He had to look at a documentary to find out about it, and it's a Netflix documentary. It's 2 hours. I heard it was pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and watch it. Not today. I got stuff to do, but I'll watch it at some point. And maybe report back on Guerrilla Underground and talk about it there. I also want to bring on people that are more familiar with it, and can sit down and discuss it in an evidence-based type of way. You know, so we're moving in that direction, and hopefully we can get it done and bring it to you. It's very, very, very important that we maintain our cognitive liberty, that we maintain dominance and ownership over our minds. We have to be very protective of what we let in. Tony always talks about the hackable animal, that we're not hackable animals. I believe we are. And I believe there's evidence of it. We just have the ability to undo the hacking. And that's where our gift lies. That's where the Lord hooked us up. Yeah, can we be hacked? Absolutely. We can't believe that we're not hackable animals and then turn around and talk about mind control. And so that's what we do here in the alt media. Mind control is real. MK Ultra was real. That's admitted. A lot of the information we get around it is probably nonsense, you know. But there are provable instances of mind control that we can point to and talk about. And Cambridge Analytica is just a more recent a more recent manifestation of it, you know. So I call it the Rosetta Stone. When I went down, when Neil Sanders turned me on to Cambridge Analytica, I was like, oh. It reminded me of the first time I tried to debunk 9/11 truth. That I was just like, ooh, I can't do this. You know, and there's some things still that can't be debunked about you know the some of the conspiracy theories that we pose about 9/11. You know, there a lot of them are nonsense, but there are some that still persist that we need answers for. Building 7 in particular. But I remember that feeling, like it just changed my paradigm, changed my life. Cambridge Analytica was one of those. I was like, oh my God, they are literally manipulating us. And literally manipulating us. So we need to be very aware of that. And it's difficult. It's not, I don't want to call it impossible, but it's going to be one of the hardest things we ever do as a species to try to break out of this. I don't know where we end up. I really don't know. And just because you realize one thing doesn't mean that you're out of it. So I realize I'm being manipulated. That doesn't mean I'm still not being manipulated. I just realize that I am in some way, shape, or form. And so I'm like, shit, I am being manipulated here. Now I got to find out where the manipulation is coming from and what they are manipulating. And even when you think you know that, you're still probably being manipulated. It's just the way it is. So let's be productive as a group. Let's be productive as the quote unquote alt media, the alternative to the alternative. If you're tuning in here right now, let's be productive and try to suss out these real world conspiracies that we can prove. 220 people watching right now. What's up to all of you? And on Tony's YouTube channel, on Jeffrey's channel, 22 people. Those people love me. What's up? How you doing? I love you. I'm glad you're here. Although you're probably not happy that I'm talking to you, but I'm glad you're here. On Tony's X, on Don's X, and on my X. What's up? And everybody that's commenting, thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking around. Nights of the Storm are coming up very, 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 very soon. So make sure you tune in to them. Angel Blue, how are you? What's going on? Good to see you. Karen Carpenter, what's up? Ronnie, my guy, what's up? Yeah, audio sucked, man, but it's cool. Thank you for showing up, bro. I appreciate you. Keep pushing me. You know, I'll keep pushing you. Steven in the chat, what's going on? Jackson T. Barrett, who is my guy? He calls me all types of stuff all the time. He can't help himself. But thank you for tuning in week after week, Jackson. I believe in you, Jackson. Not really. I'm wavering on you, but I still have some belief, Jackson. Where's my guy? Where's my guy, Twisted? Twisted is in the chat. I don't know if you're still listening. What's up, brother? How are you? Peter Seakosh is in the chat. That's my dude. How are you? Hope everything is well. Guard Goldsmith, God bless you. Bronx Stompers, how are you? And anybody else that I may have missed. Karen Carpenter, I don't know if I said hello to you. What's up, Karen? How are you? Jason Barker. I know you guys are going to have an incredible show today. Unrealistic is in the chat. How are you? You know, whoever I missed, I am sorry, but I'm glad you're here. I'm going to do this every week. I'm going to give you 15 minutes. If there's somebody on, I might go longer. If there's nobody on, I'll just sit and talk for 15 minutes about something. I'm going to drop this link in on my X account. That's the only way you're going to be able to access it because YouTube is not allowing me to do it. So I will drop the link on the X account, and I will put my X account on where my name is. That way you guys can find it and click on it. I know it's a lot of work, but if you wanna have the discussion, or hit me up on Twitter, hit me up via email, brv1776@gmail.com. Sometimes I don't see these emails, but hit me up if I see it, I'll respond and I'll send you a link, and you can talk to me about whatever it is you want to talk to me. Jackson, show up. What's up? You talk all that nonsense. Show up. Come on. I'm inviting you next week. Show up, Jackson T. Barrett. Show up. Or are you a bot? Is Jackson T. Barrett a Russian bot? We want to know. The people want to know. So show up. What's up, Ashley? How are you? Greetings and blessings to you. Can't wait to see Nights of the Storm. My guy Dustin Helm. I don't know if he's here, but shouts to you. Angry Tiger. John Brissom, who always pushes the dude no matter what. Tries to push me on everything. So I appreciate the hell out of that. Who else? Wayne McCroy, Charlie Robbins. That's it. I know I'm missing people, but whomever I'm missing, I love you anyway. Okay. Everybody be good. I'll get some exit music next week for this segment. Gorilla Underground, 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow on my X and on YouTube. And we will continue to go over World War III, Donald Trump and his band of circus animals and what they're doing to the people of the United States. And not only that, the world. We are in big problems. We have big problems. And in large part, it's due to this mental manipulation that we're under. There is a war on for your mind, as InfoWars says. And while there's a bunch of crap that came out of InfoWars, if there was anything truer, it was that. There is a war on for your mind. My name is Billy Ray Valentine. Follow me on X. Send me an email. Follow me on Gorilla Underground at YouTube. Type in Gorilla Underground or Gorilla Underground 1984. You will see my face there. Give me a sub. And I go on Sundays for the most part. Sometimes I don't, but a lot of times I do. So I'm going to try to change that, but let's see what develops. The infinitefringe.podbeam.com. I'm going to be converting that into the Gorilla Underground. So you want to go subscribe over there. If you can't tune in live, you can listen on the go over there. So that's it. That's all I got, ladies and gentlemen. We'll do it again next week. Anybody that has an issue. All right. We'll talk to you later. Peace, guys. Bye.